Hi, welcome to another episode of Miss Erica's Crazy Costume Catastrophe. This week, Miss Erica is dressed like a book because we're going to look at another story or parable that Jesus told. Hey kids, this week I want to remind you to read Luke 15 with your mom and dad. It's a short chapter, and in it, Jesus tells 3 parables about things that are lost and the person that goes and finds them. So be sure to check that out sometime this week. All right, let's get started. Remember, parables were mini stories that Jesus told alongside his teaching. The best way to understand what a parable is about is to read what's happening around that parable in the Bible. And so we're going to do that today when we look at one of the parables that Jesus told in Luke 15. First, we're going to look at where we are in the storyline of the Bible. Remember, Jesus is in the last few weeks of his life. He is on his way to Jerusalem. And so that's an important part of this story because in the last few weeks of his life, he's doing and saying a lot of really important things to teach people about what him being king will mean and look like. Today, we are going to look at the parable of the prodigal son. Prodigal just means lost. So think of this as the parable of the lost son. Actually, all 3 parables from Luke 15 are about important things that get lost. But why is Jesus telling stories about things getting lost? That's what we need to look at first. So I want to read to you some verses from the beginning of Luke 15 because it will help us understand these parables even better. Now, the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law began to grumble, and they said, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." So Jesus told them these parables. So that beginning part is really important. There were all of these people who were very far away from God. Tax collectors who are basically seen as traitors, sinners, people who were not obeying the rules, who would have been basically like ostracized or kicked out of the temple. And they want to just be around Jesus. They want to hear him. And Jesus is spending the majority of his time with people like this. But the people who work in the temple or the synagogue, the Pharisees, the scribes who would write down the scrolls, they're starting to get very cranky because they do not like that Jesus is spending all his time with these messy, broken people. And so they start to grumble and complain and say, "This guy is spending all his time with sinners." And so Jesus decides to tell them these 3 stories. Now, today we're just going to look at the story of the lost son. But the other 2 parables are cool too, so be sure to check those out with your mom and dad sometime this week. To get us started in the parable of the lost son, I got some goofy dads to act out this story for us. Take it away.
Once upon a time, there was a dad and his 2 kids. Most of the time, they had a good time together. Sometimes they would play. Sometimes they would work together. The dad loved his kids a lot, but one of his kids thought about all the work and about all the stuff her dad had, and she started thinking,
"My dad doesn't give me any of the stuff I deserve. We work too much. My dad has too many rules. I can't wait for when I get to make my own rules, and then I can take my stuff and get out of here."
And the thought got stronger and stronger until one day she went up to her dad and said,
"I'm sick of all of this. I'm sick of working, and I'm sick of you. One day you're gonna die and leave us all your stuff, but I don't even want to wait that long. I want you to give me all the stuff I get if you die, and I'm gonna go live a good life, the way I want, the way I deserve."
"I love you, but I won't make you stay with me. If you want to leave, well, let's figure out what you would have gotten for your inheritance." So they divided everything up. Some stuff they had to sell. Then the day came when she got to go on her own. With all that money, she could buy whatever she wanted. She could eat whatever she wanted. She quickly found all the best parties and made some new friends. Eventually, she ran out of money. Soon after, she ran out of friends. She had to get a job, but the economy was lousy and there weren't enough jobs. There also wasn't enough food. Finally, she found a job feeding animals. She was so hungry, she almost ate some of their food. Then she realized,
This is so gross! I never had to eat stuff like this when I lived with my dad. I never even got this hungry when I lived with my dad. Maybe he would let me work for him? I'll go home and say, Dad, I have sinned against God and you. I'm not good enough to be your child. Could you hire me to do some chores?
so she went home to her dad. While she was still far away, her dad saw her and ran up to her.
Dad, I've sinned against God and you. I'm not good enough to be your
Come
child.
here. Put these on. We are going to have a barbecue. My daughter was dead, but now she's alive again. She was lost, but now she's found. I'm throwing a party. Yes, right now. Come join us.
Thanks, guys. Didn't they do a great job? Parables are stories that Jesus would make up. And so I thought it was cool that these dads made up kind of a modern version of this parable so that we could understand it a little better. But I want to focus on one verse from the real parable in the Bible. The son who's run away, remember, he has wasted all of his dad's money. He is completely broke. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have friends. And he ends up working at a pig farm. Now, if you were Jewish back then, pigs were like the dirtiest, grossest animal. You never ate pigs, you never ate bacon, and you never even went near a pig. So for this guy to be working at a pig farm, he's like having the worst day ever. And so he's sitting in the pig farm and he's so hungry that he thinks about even eating the pig food. Think about how desperate and hungry and terrible his day must have been going for him to think about eating pig food out of a pig trough. Blah. And then he decides, you know what? My father's servants have it better than me right now. I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell him I'm so sorry, and I will just beg him to make me like a slave at his house, because at least there I don't have to eat pig food. And so he's on his way back. And then this is the verse I want to read to us. But while he was still a long way off, so think about the son, he's really far away in the distance. His father saw him. So his father's been waiting for him to come home. And he felt compassion for him. And he ran and embraced him and kissed him. This father misses his son so much. He has been waiting for him to come home because he knows what is good for him. One day he sees his son a long way off down the road. His son is finally coming home. He's began the journey of coming home. And so the father just starts booking it. And he runs and he runs. He doesn't even wait until his son gets home. And he doesn't make his son be his slave. He grabs him and he hugs him, he kisses him, and he throws a party for him because he's so happy his son is home. Jesus wants everyone listening to this parable to understand his response for people who don't know him yet. When Jesus sees these sinners and these tax collectors, He sees them like a lost little kid, and he loves them so much that he is willing to spend most of his time with them so they can get to know him. He knows that they're very far away from him right now. They're not ready yet to make him their king, but he just wants to be with them so much that his response is to run and be with them so that they can get to know him soon. This is Jesus' response for us too. He is so excited for us to make him our king. And even before we're ready, even when we're way, way, way away from making Jesus our king, he is ready and excited about it. He is looking for us and searching for us because he knows we're lost and he knows we need to come home. He just wants to be with us so much that he will do whatever it takes to be with us. This week, I want you to remember that Jesus' response to everyone is to run and be with them, especially people who are far away from him, especially people who feel messy or broken or too sinful to be with him. Jesus loves to be with those people, and he's running to them even before they're ready to be with him. If you haven't made Jesus your king yet, this week I want to challenge you to spend some time thinking about why. Why haven't you made Jesus your king yet? I know a lot of people who think that they can't be with Jesus until they obey all the rules or read their Bible more or go to church more or just become kind of like a better person so that Jesus would want to be with them. But that's the opposite of how Jesus runs his kingdom. Jesus' response to people, especially people who are a very long way off from him, is to come running towards them and to spend time with them, to look for them when they're lost, because he wants to be with you. So if you haven't made Jesus your king yet, this week I want you to take some time and just think about why. Think about why you're feeling like you're not ready and just talk to Jesus about those feelings. Did you know you can talk to Jesus even before you've made him your king? You can be honest with him. Tell him what you're nervous about or worried about or afraid of, or just why you haven't said yes to him yet, and just spend some time with him getting to know him. If you have made Jesus your king, that's awesome sauce, by the way. And I want to encourage you to join Jesus on his mission. Jesus is all about going and looking for people who don't know him yet. And he invites us to join him on that mission. So be looking this week for people in your neighborhood or maybe on the Zoom call for school or in your family who don't know Jesus yet. And begin praying for them, asking in Jesus' name that they would know him soon. And then go be with them so that they can get to know Jesus through you. All right, guys, it's been so fun hanging out with you. Thanks for watching another episode of Miss Erica's Crazy Costume Catastrophe. Bye! All right, guys, remember, this Sunday we're starting Family Large Group. Grab your mom and dad. Grab your PJs. I'll see you Sunday at 10:30 a.m. We're going to have a blast. Parents, check out your parent email for more info and the link. All right, guys, I'll see you there. Bye!